Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Denver, Colorado, it's time for Franchise Bible Coach Radio. Now, here are your hosts.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Franchise Bible Coach Radio podcast with Rick and Rob. I'm Rick Grossman, and I'll introduce my co-host and partner in crime here, Rob Gantley, in just a second. But we'd also like to let you guys know that the Franchise Bible Coach Fight for Your Franchise Challenge is about midway through the initiative. So there's still time to join and learn more about our Fight for Your Franchise Challenge, which is a free initiative for franchisors and franchisees to kind of join the effort to share ideas and strategies and thoughts to help everyone get through this time and not only survive, but thrive as franchise organizations. So go to franchisebiblecoach.com and join us, and we will get you resources, and you can join our franchise community on Facebook, and we can have all kinds of great conversations and tips and ideas coming your way. So I'm going to turn it over to Rob, who will kick it off with our special guest today, and we'll get started. Hey, Rob, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. And I'd just like to welcome Jamie Cecil to the program today. Welcome, Jamie.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
You got it. Jamie. Well, Jamie, as we get started here, maybe you could give us a little bit of a background on yourself and how you got involved with Beef O'Brady's and the brand and how you serve people.
Sure. I've been with Beef O'Brady's for about 6 years now. Started on the operations side and then journeyed over to the franchise sales department. And I've been in franchise sales for many years. If you guys are familiar with a company called Quaker Steak and Lube, I was in charge of development for those guys and several other companies kind of through in my past. So I've owned my own restaurant before, so I've got a pretty broad background. But it's people always ask me, what do you like, the franchise sales or the ops? Well, both kind of help because when I'm talking to a potential candidate, I can walk through the operations side with them, and talk numbers and talk that stuff, talk everything, labor and food costs. So that dramatically helps. So, like I said, I've been with Beef O'Brady's for 6 years. Beef O'Brady's is a family-style sports bar. I started in 1985 in Brandon, Florida. I started franchising in the 90s. Currently, we're at 150 locations. And, obviously, we're adding stores every year, which is great. We're continuing to grow and, excited for the future for Beefs.
Very nice. It's near lunchtime and I'm already getting hungry just thinking about it. Sounds good. So, well, the last few weeks we've been talking about strategies. Obviously, franchisors, especially in the restaurant sector, have had to make some pretty significant adaptations. And a few weeks ago, we talked about what strategy we use here at Franchise Bible Coach with our clients, which is evaluate, adapt, and overcome. And then different ways that businesses have kind of evolved to the new normal and what plans are afterwards. So what kind of things have you seen in your organization from your franchise owners or from your corporate level to be ready for these changes?
Sure, most definitely. We, from a corporate side, we have 26 Beef O'Brady's that we own and operate, and then obviously the rest are franchised. But when this thing hit day one, we went into, survival mode, right? Immediately formed a task force to help our franchisees. And the number one goal of it was we want to save all of our franchisees. We have to help our franchisees through this. And that's our number one goal, whether it be helping them apply for the PPP money from a marketing standpoint, whatever that was. And there was a lot of great, one of the things that's what I love about the restaurant business. We adapt and we overcome. We figure this stuff out. There wasn't a playbook for this thing, right? It's not like you could go and pull a book off the shelf and say, oh yeah, there's a pandemic, do this.
Yeah.
That wasn't out there. And we're coming up with stuff. Our franchisees are coming up with stuff. Some of the great ideas. One of our franchisees did a grocery store. There's a lot of, you see a lot of other brands are doing that as well, offering milk and eggs and package deals and things like that. The other thing that we did is we started doing delivery in-house. The servers didn't have anything to do, so they now became delivery drivers. We did family meal packs. And this was, it's funny because now this is something moving forward. It's going to be a push for us because these family meal packs have gone really well. Be it, the cheeseburger meals with fries or like a taco kit to go. Cinco de Mayo was a great thing for today. So those types of things that we put together moving forward, we're going to keep using those because we think that's a great avenue for us to build sales.
Right. So instead of using some of the outsourced third-party delivery systems, you guys just converted your servers into delivery folks.
Right, and we still used all the third-party deliveries. Don't get me wrong, but in order to keep some of our employees employed, we turn them into delivery drivers, and it worked out surprisingly well.
Very good. Well, and I can see with those. I have 4 teenagers at home, and my wife, and there's meal planning, especially when everybody's cooped up, it can be a real maddening experience. So those family packs, those meal packs sound like a great idea. And I can see that's something that would sustain and stay on board after. We were talking about that with a guest a couple of days ago that, what changes are temporary. And I think one person said, well, there are some things that are going to have to go away because of the switch back to the normal or trying to get back to the normal. And some things that will be added to the lineup for good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, one of those things is, I live in Florida and the governor gave us the restaurants, the ability to sell alcohol, right?
Right.
On a package basis. That won't be a strategy that will go away shortly. But it was a phenomenal revenue stream for us while, nothing was happening. So now, a lot of the family meal deals, they'll go forward. Selling alcohol to go, that's not going to be a long-term plan.
But it helped during the time. So it's neat to see the officials kind of working with the entrepreneurs to come up with solutions. That's the first time I've seen it to this extent. So very good. Good ideas, huh, Rob?
Yeah, no, they are. And it reminds me of what Jason from Entrepreneur Magazine did say about maintaining, you had value before the pandemic. You still have value to offer to your audience, but maybe have to just repackage the value, right? And I think that's exactly what everybody deferred to, was to do that. And so the question that comes to mind is, was there a certain approach that you and your leadership team took to working with your franchise owners when this hit? Was there a sort of hey, let's look at it this way and let's move forward on this basis? So obviously these ideas have come to the surface. You mentioned the grocery store and some of the packaging, but was that part of an effort that sort of came from corporate in a sense, or how did you guys approach it?
Well, one of the things, with Beefs, we have a franchise advisory council, and typically the FAC, we meet quarterly. Well, during this, we had weekly phone calls to get feedback from them, and they represent, a throng of franchisees, so they were getting feedback from the franchisees as well, because we all know there's certain things that the franchisees will tell each other, but that they won't tell us. So that FAC was really a great guiding light for us through this thing. And obviously the ideas that we had is from a corporate team as well. So, those weekly calls helped. And right out of the gate, we had daily calls as an executive team to kind of map this thing out. The working through the PPP stuff, was an interesting one to say the least. Our COO was all over it. Our CFO was all over it. And we really helped get our franchisees the money that they were due. And it was a challenge, but putting a plan together and getting everybody on the same course was, we're coming through this thing, surprisingly. And, when it first started, we had stores that were down 75 and 80%. I mean, that's it's horrendous.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting to say now, now we're only down 30 or 40%. Well, whereas 2 months ago, you'd be like, oh my God, you're down 30 or 40%. You guys are going to close. And I've been on a lot of calls where it's like, oh, you're only down 30, 40. That's great. What are you guys doing? That's awesome.
Yeah. That's funny how times change, right? What was what hit the panic button 6 months ago is now a good thing. But
yeah, exactly.
What are your plans for franchise development as far as onboarding new franchisees, and what your efforts look like now and in the future?
We're still out there. We're still selling franchises. My franchise sales guy, I have daily calls with him to make sure everything is, where the leads coming in, what's happening with them. And we've actually had our first virtual discovery day. And it was really neat. It worked. But I like meeting someone in person. Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said with the meeting in person, but when you can't, you got to do what you got to do. So we held it, and they didn't sign the deal, but they didn't say no yet either. So it's on hold until everything finishes up. But it was interesting. I'm glad we did it. It was a nice little test run. I think in the future, one of the hurdles to getting people to Discovery Day is the travel. We're based in Tampa, which, people in Wisconsin and Illinois in the winter, it's pretty easy to get them to come to Florida, right?
Yeah, right.
But when you're dealing with guys in California or Washington State, that's a big commitment to make it out. So maybe these virtual Discovery Days will help us, kind of extend the olive branch a little bit. Say, hey, look, we can do a virtual Discovery Day. We can show you guys what this thing's about, and then if you're interested, and we can meet in person and seal the deal. So I think it was an interesting exercise, and one that again, one of the things that in our toolbox, we will keep using the virtual Discovery Days once this thing goes away.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that, and I do believe that'll become kind of status quo from here on. We've been doing virtual Discovery Days here in Colorado for about a year. And certain brands have different elements. If you're brick and mortar, of course, you have a little bit more of a reason to have somebody come out and experience the food and the atmosphere and things like that. So maybe two-parting it to a virtual and then on-site, like you said, is the solution for you guys. But some brands don't have brick and mortar locations, and so
right.
We're seeing a lot of brands doing virtual Discovery Days as kind of a new thing. But makes it more convenient. Very, very good.
Yeah. I was going to say we've been talking about virtual Discovery Days for quite a while. Like you said earlier, Jamie, we're used to this type of medium that we're on now. Yeah. But at the same time, so we thought, geez, that might be great for some brands, and we've been thinking about it, and then we started to do it. And now with this pandemic, it is, we hear that from everyone, and it's kind of the same input. It'll be a hybrid, but it's an interesting experiment because I think it does open the door, right? To maybe grease the skids and drive a little bit more in the pipeline, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. What were we going to say, Rick?
Yeah. Hey, Jamie, do you have a favorite story of one of your franchise owners interfacing with a customer, perhaps, in this crazy world we're living in right now, kind of going above and beyond or doing something for the community that really pulls on the heartstrings?
Yeah, there's a bunch of one of the things with Beef O'Brady's is we're big on in community, and that community involvement is critical. We get a lot of repeat guests because of that, and obviously the value component too. So we have a lot of franchisees out there that are really doing some really cool things. The grocery store item was one of them. I think one of the neatest things that one of them did, they did a drive-in movie in their parking lot, and so they brought in this big inflatable, and they broadcast the movie on the big screen out in the parking lot. So gave a chance for everybody to get out of their house. Get a little bit of sense of normalcy. He walked around and delivered popcorn and things like that. So it was just, and didn't charge for the popcorn. But if somebody wanted a meal, they could order it and they delivered out to their car. But again, gave those families and those people in the community an excuse to get out of their house. They were social distancing because they were in their cars. So it was a neat little thing. And, we talked about this a little earlier, all of this stuff that you in times of crisis, the creativity that you see out there it's amazing. It's a true testament to entrepreneurship for sure.
Well, yeah, and you see that entrepreneurs are kind of known for adapting and overcoming and creating and innovating, and we're seeing that just every day. We're seeing more and more of that, and it's fascinating to see the creative ideas turn into not, like I said earlier, not only ways to survive but thrive, and new revenue sources and new ways to stay connected with customers and their staff and employees. One of the things that I really enjoy seeing is when the staff and the management and the franchise owners and the franchisors all get together and start to collaborate, and then it rolls down to the community in these great ideas and these great concepts. And that's really the entrepreneurial spirit, like you said. That's what drives this whole thing. And the reason we started the Fight for Your Franchise Challenge, by the way, is that we believe that small businesses and medium-sized businesses are the backbone of not only our U.S. economy, but globally. We work with people all over the world, and they're struggling with the same stuff in different parts of the world, of course. And so this initiative is just a way for us to give back to the industry that we love, and offer some free coaching sessions and some podcasts and some articles and different resources, and just to keep the people thinking about the positive things that entrepreneurs are doing, and maybe get some ideas, and maybe, like that great idea of, an outdoor drive-in movie. That's just something that will build trust and build, a relationship even deeper with their client base. And one of the things that a lot of folks are saying that's going to be important for the customer after this is all said and done is trust and safety. So they're going to have to feel a high level of trust in your brand, and they're going to have to feel safe utilizing your brand, right? Is there anything in that arena that you guys have been talking about that will maintain that?
Yeah, one of the things, obviously in the restaurant business, customers let you know pretty quickly if you're running a dirty restaurant. But we've got to go beyond that with everything here. So, we've got servers and masks and gloves. We've got, hand sanitizer stations. Florida just opened up yesterday at 25%. So we're test running all of this stuff. So we've got sanitizer stations all over the place. We're doing temperature checks on our employees. So we're making sure that if a guest does want to come inside, that they're going to be safe when they come in and dine with us. We've spread the tables apart, 25% capacity, you're pretty well spread apart anyway. But we've made sure that we've pulled some tables out so that people they still feel pretty comfortable. So it's been an interesting run. Our sales for yesterday in our Florida stores were actually really good. The future looks good. Our original plan was, hopefully this thing would come back in June. So the fact that we're back, kind of a little earlier than that helps. Granted, it's only 25%, but still, it's better than it was 6 to 8 weeks ago. That's for sure.
Yeah, and since there's a lot of listeners that are maybe new entrepreneurs or new business owners, new franchise owners, or even restaurant owners that maybe aren't involved in franchising yet, I know a lot of people have been concerned about opening up at only 25% or 50% in certain states. Have you guys worked out the numbers on that? Maybe, is there any tips or ideas you have there that listeners could benefit from?
Well, I think that the key is, of course, 25%, capacity is not going to pay the bills. However, again, as I talked earlier, those family meals, the to-go, the delivery, and all that stuff, all that remains strong. So this is kind of a little bonus, the 25% that helps feed it. Now, granted, it's nowhere near where we were, a couple months ago. Beefs, we had 7 of the last 8 years of comp positive sales. So we were Beef was strong, in which that's going to help us coming out of this as well, because we were strong coming into this. There's a lot of brands out there that weren't, and we're fortunate that we are.
Yeah. And so, it's an interesting point to make, is that as you moved into this, you were strong. And as you say, many businesses weren't as strong going into this. And so we all know that there'll be a lot of change headed our way. But when you think about the entrepreneurs out there, the business owners, or even the other franchise brands, is there one golden nugget that you can think of that you might want to leave the listeners with? That, if again, from your experiences with beef, is there something you could share with them that you think, if this one thing that you could focus on, this is the thing? Is there something like that, or maybe it's a couple of things? I don't know.
The key is, you got into this business for a reason, because you felt the passion for it. So the creativity, whatever sounds like a crazy idea, it may work. I mean, if you would have told me 6 to 8 weeks ago we were going to be, selling alcohol out of our doors, I would have said, you're crazy. There's no way. So, taking the circumstances that you're giving and coming up with those crazy ideas, it may sound like a crazy, family meals. We weren't doing family meals 6 to 8 weeks ago, but again, we thought we saw a need and you put it together and made it happen. So I think that, again, part of entrepreneurship is that creativity. And overcoming and adapting, and that's where as a franchise system, that's where we've excelled, and so I think being creative in this time is paramount.
Totally, yeah, and everything I keep thinking of when I hear you speak is, isn't it awesome that you're in a franchise to begin with, right? For the franchises that are out there now, the whole idea of being in a group, being in a network, having a team, having the collaboration, having the support systems, you couldn't be in a better place in the worst possible situation, right?
Right. When I like I said earlier, when I owned my own restaurant, I don't know, during this time, I don't know what it would have been interesting. The collaboration we have with our executive team, collaboration with our FAC and the other franchisees, I've talked to more franchisees in the past 6 to 8 weeks, which is great. I mean, that's what this thing's all about. And they're bouncing ideas off. They're calling in for feedback. They're asking for help from landlords. It's just that ball. I mean, not only are you trying to sell food, but now you also, by the way, rent's due on April 1st and May 1st. Now what do I do, right? So again, part of my job is to help them navigate, working with their landlords to either forgive the rent payment or, tack it onto the back end. So, those are critical conversations to have with franchisees, because that's a big cost every single month.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of course, landlords, a lot of landlords are working with their tenants. We're seeing bankers and suppliers and all types of different companies that are really working with everybody. They kind of understand.
We're fortunate. Our landlords are working with us, which is great. And I've told several of them. I said, you can work with us, or you can hope somebody's behind us waiting to come in here, right? And I don't know that it's going to be very long.
Yeah, they'll be open for a while. Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Well, that's all good gold nuggets of advice there. If you're a new restaurant owner, keep in mind that the franchise model, the community that you get with a franchise and a brand like Beef O'Brady's is that community and the know-how and expertise, and having somebody in your corner all the time. As I tell people, you're never going to be alone again when you join a franchise.
Exactly.
Oh, that's very good. Well, awesome. Well, as we get ready to wind up here, I'm going to kind of close the show here, but I'm going to go back around one last time with you, both of you, and just see if there's any little gold nuggets or any thoughts you want to leave the listeners with this week. This next week, we're going to be focusing in on servant leadership, and we're going to be talking about the way decisions are being made in organizations during these challenging times, a thing that I talk about in my book called the 3 decision lenses. And of course, we just came out of the franchise equation, which is how to maximize and get to the zenith level in all 5 departments of your business. So these are all strategies that we teach and coach in our Franchise Bible Coach system. So if you're out there listening and you haven't joined the Franchise Bible Coach Fight for Your Franchise Challenge, all you have to do is go to the website, franchisebiblecoach.com. You can simply enter your email address, and you'll receive in your inbox every Monday an email that will have a link to the coaching session and the podcast and the article and an invitation to join our Franchise Bible Coach Facebook group. And so you can send that out to all your franchise owners, by the way, and let them all join as well if they would like. And it's a way to participate and learn some things, but also give back to the industry that we all love. And that's at franchisebiblecoach.com. And we are now working in conjunction with Entrepreneur and Entrepreneur Magazine and Entrepreneur.com. So they're hosting our not only our articles, but also our coaching sessions on Entrepreneur.com. So very, very excited that we're all working together to get through this. So we'd like to thank you very, very much, Jamie, for joining us today from Beef O'Brady's. And thank you to my co-host, Rob Ganley. And this has been Franchise Bible Coach Radio with Rick and Rob. And we're going to sign off in just a second, but one last nugget. Anything else that you'd like to share with us, Jamie, before we go?
Have fun, I don't know if I got time for this. Kind of a long. Well, I'll make it short.
Oh,
when I got into this business, I started out as a server, and I went to college to be an accountant. And freshman year, I was like, accounting, and I'm like, this is terrible. This is not meant for me. And I was working at TGI Fridays at the time, and I told my dad one night, I called him, I said, Dad, I'm changing majors. He goes, oh, yeah, really? What, medical school? What are you going to do? I said, Dad, I'm going to go in the restaurant business. And it was total silence on the other end of the phone. And I said, Dad? He goes, you're going to do what? I said, hey, listen, let me ask you a question. When you go to work every day, do you have fun? He goes, well, son, it's work. It's not supposed to be fun. I said, see, that's the difference. When I go to work, I have fun because I love the people I work with. I have great guests that come in. We have a good time. And finally, after I talked him down off the ledge, he's like, all right, I get it. But seriously, I've been in this business for many, many years now, and every single day, or granted, not every day is fun, but the majority, the most days I have a great time. Dealing with the guests, dealing with employees, and just everything that's involved in this business. It's a fun business.
Very good. Well, and sometimes we forget that, especially in the middle of something like this, in the crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people don't enjoy what they do every day. So what a blessing it is that you and your franchise owners can enjoy that. So very good. Awesome. Have fun. And Rob, anything else you want to share before we go?
Well, I'll make it quick too. Thank you for sharing that. I would say this is an opportunity, right? I think we've been circling that idea, but an opportunity for the franchisees, for the brands, for business owners to reach out and leave an impression on their community at a time where it would probably be very memorable, right? Like some of the things you guys are doing, the community is going to remember them, right? Like the liquor, right? But buying the liquor, even if you cannot continue to offer that, they'll remember that experience. Some of them may have never interacted with your restaurant, and for some of these things that you're now doing, and so you have a new audience, and they'll remember you during this time. And I think that's use this time, have fun, but remember you have an opportunity to make an impact that's lasting.
Yeah,
True.
Very good. Awesome, gentlemen. Well, thank you again, Jamie, for joining us, and we're excited to see how you guys pull through this and keep thriving. Sounds like you have a great organization and lots of great people. So we'll call you back and have you back on the show in a little bit and see maybe for an update.
Yeah. Sounds great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.